We're slowly going to pick up speed here. This episode represents the next two issues of Famous Funnies, numbers 8 and 9 from March and April 1935 by cover dates. But as we talk about some of the new features, we're also going to fast forward into the future as far as 1942 to talk about one of them. What are these new features and why did this reprint book get new features? I'll get to talking about that really soon. During this time, this title remains really stable. It comes out every month right on schedule. Hear that, DC Comics? The price remains 10 cents. Spoilers, it's going to remain 10 cents for a really long time. The page count remains 64 pages, the book measuring roughly 7.5 inches by 10 inches, which is going to be the comic book standard size, not the oversized size of New Fun. It continues to be an anthology book of features ranging from 1 to 4 pages long, plus some mini features that run along the top or bottom of the page. The number of features varies a little from 24 to 27, so there's a lot of variety to be found in any issue. The placement of the features is where there is the most variety, as they get jumbled around seemingly at random from month to month. When I was talking about New Fun, I made a point of stressing that some real estate in the book is more valuable than the rest of it, but that really applies to when you're promoting new characters. These are year-old reprints. They already knew which of them were popular or more popular than others. Now, whether they decided on the order of features from month to month by doing careful research about sales figures, or if they just took a bunch of cutout strips, threw them up in the air, and see what order they landed in, I really can't say. Of the already established strips, the only one to change significantly is Dip and Duck, which becomes Frog Pond Fairy, reflecting its name change in the newspapers. This is a whimsical talking animal strip, a forerunner to Pogo, without the intellectual subtext. Hopefully we get a chance to talk about Pogo on this channel someday. We probably will not be revisiting Frog Pond Fairy, which is a pretty mundane strip. But we also get two new strips that debuted in issue 9, and they were Bobby and Barnacle Bill the Singing Sailor. These were significant for a few reasons, but the most important one is that neither is a syndicated strip. This is the first original content found in a monthly basis in Famous Funnies. When I first saw Barnacle Bill, I was pretty unimpressed. The art looked crude and amateurish. If it looks familiar to you, then you've been paying attention. The artist is Victor Pezmiño, the cover artist for Famous Funnies itself. Victor was a Brooklyn-based artist, but he was born in Ecuador. Despite how amateurish I find his art, he had a resume as good as virtually any other artist featured in this book, and was himself a syndicated cartoonist going as far back as 1925. Offering him a strip of his own seems like it would have made sense, but why now? Here are 3 possible explanations. 1. Eastern Color Printing is aware of New Fun and sees original content as dangerous competition. This seems unlikely to me because there is no advertising on the cover or even the editorial page inside about this original content is just suddenly there. 2. Victor asked for more money. Maybe he wants a raise to keep doing the covers. It's important that Famous Funnies has original art on its covers because it always groups characters from different strips together, and that can't be reprinted from any other source because art like that can't be found in the comic section of the newspapers. There are no crossover appearances in the strips themselves of these characters. Instead of a raise, let's suggest that the editor, Stephen Douglas, no, not that Stephen Douglas. Stephen says, I can't give you a raise, but if you produce another page of content for us, we'll pay you for that. 3. Explanation 3. Victor simply wants to get back into making comic strips and asks if he can. That he seems surprised by being given the go-ahead seems obvious from the still making this up as I go along feel to the strip. The strip is only called Barnacle Bill the Singing Sailor for 1 issue. In his second issue, he is called Seaweed Bill the Rhyming Sailor. The singing and the rhyming is because each page ends not with a punchline, but Bill singing a song and rhyme that sums up what happened in that page. The inspiration for Barnacle Bill would have been obvious to everyone. Barnacle Bill the Sailor is a very old folk song, but it was also the name of a Popeye cartoon that had just been released in theaters in January of this year, 1935. We'll talk more about Popeye in the future. Okay, so we have our title locked down now. Oops, no, the very next issue, and for 77 more installments thereafter, the strip becomes Seaweed Sam, the rhyming rover. Where did the name Sam come from? From the very first page of the very first installment, where Bill talked to a friend named Seaweed Sam. Someone liked that name better than Bill, and so Sam it became. Like I said, I was impressed with the art, and the stories themselves are extremely simple, but Victor has a gift for creative innovation that must be noted. Seaweed Sam briefly has a goat for a sidekick, 62 years before Quantum and Woody. He meets a dragon once that looks like a robot dragon. He could for a short while summon a genie not from a lamp, but from a bubble pipe, so the genie looks like it was made of bubbles. He fought a villain called the Scarlet Skull, who menaced Sam a whole year before the Red Skull would menace Captain America. Normally I do all my own research for this vlog, reading the original material, but I must admit that a blog called The Voice of Odd did such a good job describing the history of Seaweed Sam over 2 blog posts that I paraphrase some of it here. I'll include a link in the comments section below. Lastly, let's talk about Bobby. Bobby is a little bit more competently drawn but much less interesting strip about a cute little boy who seems to think like someone older than he appears to be, sort of like the Peanuts, but 12 years earlier. It's not very good. Is that too dismissive? Let me break it down with an example. Let's take the setup from the first installment of Bobby. Haha, Bobby looks like he's 6, but he talks about women like he's a grown man. Now here's the payoff. The punchline is that Bobby reverts to acting like his true age when he hears that he might get to see puppies soon. Now I know it may not seem fair to compare this to a masterpiece like The Peanuts, but consider how The Peanuts is so brilliant by taking the opposite tact. In The Peanuts, Bobby would be acting like a normal 6-year-old in the setup, and then the unexpected twist for the punchline is that Bobby would turn to the reader and say something more adult like, "Rats, I'm a prisoner of my own hypocrisy." Something like that. Charles Schultz would be funnier. Anyway, Bobby is gone by issue 20, and his only claim to fame is his creator, Jerry Iger. Jerry is about to open one of the most important art studios in the history of comics. But what's a mystery to me is what he's doing here in Famous Funnies. Does he have some connection with Eastern Color Printing? Do they know about the art studio and they're hoping for some kind of discount if they give him a page in the comic? I really can't figure it out because, as I said, Bobby is just not very good. There's certainly none of the wild creativity of Seaweed Sam. If anyone can clear this up for me, please share in the comments section below. Anyways, thanks for listening, and make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel for more. Bye-bye.